to know about entire industry? How does that work? What are kind of keywords they are running? What kind of ads are going on? Or is there any particular reason for that, which you reckon that it is a lot more easy to scale?
So working on a plumber and then working on a SaaS company and then working on an e-commerce campaign. And it's like
A niche-based agency or a journal-based agency? Which one do you prefer now? And I guess
oh,
you already tell about the answer.
period is when I got extremely burned out from doing client work. And the reason why that happened is because the way that I had set up the business was not conducive to long-term success.
Already running a very successful client SEO business. At the same time, I don't know if you are still running that, but you had all your focus going on into the Gotch Academy. Hello and welcome to the Agency Growth Lab. I'm your host Rohindu, and today we are thrilled to have a very special guest joining us, Nathan Gotch from Gotch SEO Academy, also the mind behind AI tool, Rankability, and a renowned expert in digital marketing SEO, is here to share his insights and experiences with us. So yeah, welcome to the show. Nathan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, mine. I've been following your stuff since I guess 2015. So yeah, it's
Wow.
a pleasure to have you.
Nice.
And so yeah.
Yeah, don't make me think about how long I've been doing this. That's pretty crazy. 2015. Wow.
Oh yeah, man. No,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome stuff. I'm like, I still remember all those articles and everything step by step you used to
Yeah.
record and put it in a blog post. That was kind of
Right.
next level. Trust me. So yeah, a big we are running a busy agency as well. So a big credit of that goes to you guys too. So yeah,
Oh, that's great to hear.
you
Well,
got
appreciate that. Yeah.
that. All right. So Nathan, just really quickly, can you actually tell us a bit about your technical background? How did you get started in SEO?
Yeah. I know if someone's watching, they maybe heard this story before, but I basically discovered SEO just out of necessity, honestly. I mean, it was kind of just by accident. And so I was going to my senior year of college and I was just my family wanted me to be a lawyer. So that was kind of like my path, like, oh, we're gonna be a lawyer and you're gonna go down this path. And so I was telling them, like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. But secretly, what I was doing was I was actually trying to figure out ways to make money online. And so I was, in college, just trying to figure stuff out. And I did all kinds of just sketchy things. I did paid surveys, I wrote articles, I just did all kinds of things. Right. And it did not work. I made barely any money. In fact, I spent like a month just doing paid surveys. So like trying to do these paid surveys as fast as possible. And I'd make
Okay.
like 20 cents. I don't even think I ever got paid out doing them. But then I was like, all right, I don't think this is going to work. So I need to figure something out. And I found this program that I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it, but it was called Web Colleagues. And I think it was $47. I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and look. I could probably find the receipt, but 37, 40, something like that. It was below 50 bucks. And at the time, I was very broke college student. And so I was like, I don't know about this. And I went back and forth. And then I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm just going to pull the trigger. So I bought this course and it taught like many different techniques for making money online, essentially. And many of them were super sketchy, like very sketchy. But then one of them really stood out to me, which was starting a blog. And I was like,
Hmm.
I feel like I could do that. Like, I feel like I could write some stuff and, make some AdSense clicks. And like, that made sense to me. And
Yeah.
I was a decent writer already. Like I was getting my degree in political science. So like I was writing all the time, very different type of writing, but still I was writing. So I was like, I think I could do this. But the problem was I had no skills. So I'm like, what am I going to blog about? But I did have one skill, which was playing baseball. And I had played baseball my entire life. And so I was like, well, I do know how to throw a baseball. I do know how to pitch. And so I was like, I'll start a blog on baseball pitching.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I was just publishing all kinds of content, like constantly publishing and just like zero traffic, as you would imagine, right? Just no traffic. And I'm like, all right, what's going on here? So then I went back to Google and looked for ways to drive traffic to my blog. And of course, I stumbled upon this thing, SEO.
Yeah.
And when I started to learn about it, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like I can get free traffic from Google, which was really important because I wasn't going to pay for ads, right? So I was like, I need to get free traffic. And so everything I learned, I would just take it and I would apply it to this blog and I would just go back and forth and do that. And then eventually I started getting organic traffic and I was like, whoa, this worked. It was like the first time that something worked.
Yeah.
And at that time, SEO was much easier, right? Like you didn't need to be as skilled. So fortunately for me, I was able to get results being not super skilled. And so I started getting traffic, and then eventually I started getting AdSense clicks, and I was like, "Oh, I'm making some." And I wasn't making a lot, but I was making clicks, and I was like, "Well, I'm actually making some money." And then I made my first affiliate sale on that website, and I was like, "This is what I'm going to do forever." Like I
Forget,
was already
forget the
like,
law.
"This is it." Like I'm gonna make money online, do it like blogging. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure this out because like when I saw that come through, I was like, "Wow." I actually was able to produce income without a job,
Yeah.
which was just crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. I was hooked. And the thing that hooked me actually wasn't the money. It was like SEO is what hooked me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I can use this to make money. Like that's just, to me, the connection was so clear. And I'm like, well, I could do this. So then I just got super obsessed with SEO, and I was just creating all kinds of different blogs. And yeah, I wanted to make money from them, but honestly, I was doing it just to refine my skills and get better.
Yes.
So I would like go into different industries, um, and then it just I started to feel pretty confident in my skills. And what happened was I graduated college, and then I went back to California, and I started working these just dead end, security jobs,
Yes.
and I just hated them. But I would every like little pocket of time that I had outside of that job, I was working on my SEO projects.
Yes.
And so I would just constantly be doing it. And then in the towards the end of 2013, this is like September 2013, I got laid off from the main security job that I was working.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I gotta make a decision here. Am I gonna keep, working these horrible security jobs, or am I going to go all in on this thing that I actually enjoy doing? And so I made that decision and went all in on SEO, and I moved over here now to St. Louis. And I applied for every single job that was in St. Louis for SEO, every single SEO job at the agencies, at companies. I got one response, and I got one interview from that response, and I obviously did not get the job. And so I was left to, another decision, which is like, okay, if I'm not going to get hired, then I guess I'll just do it for businesses.
Yeah.
Right. And so I started, that's when I started Gotch SEO.
Yep.
And I started just to, I figured the best way to make money, honestly, in the fastest way possible, was to do it for businesses.
Yep.
So that's what I did. I started going on Craigslist every single day. And at that time, that was actually a legit thing. You could go on Craigslist and apply to all the gigs on there.
Yeah.
And I got a nice handful of clients just doing that. And then I was responding to questions on Quora. And then at the same time, I was building up the SEO on Gotch SEO.
Yep.
And then honestly, within about, I think I officially started doing this in October 2013.
Yep.
And by 2014, I had net profit in 2014 of over $100,000 in the first year of me doing this. And I was like, well, this is what I'm doing forever. So I was like, I'm not going to do anything else. So that was kind of like the initial thing. And I basically just did client SEO agency stuff up until 2016. That was all I did.
Yep.
And obviously we can talk about how things have transitioned, but that was the initial start. So
That's true, but you picked up a flight pretty quickly. I can see with the Gotch SEO. That's really funny actually. That Nathan, about like I've done almost like 60 podcasts or something till date, and majority of us, including myself, we always have a story kind of thing that we all started something, looking at the world, and then the traffic was not coming in because we all were kind of doing like a publish and pray kind of an approach. And at one time, the people started thinking, hey, why the traffic is not coming in? And that's
right.
how we all discovered SEO. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
I feel like it's pretty common. Yeah. And I
right.
mean, I think also like at that time there wasn't as much SEO content as there is now. Like there's a lot of people publishing SEO content, and I feel like it's a lot more readily available. But at that
Exactly.
time, there weren't a lot of people to follow. I mean, it was like a pretty small pool of people.
Exactly
Um,
right. And
so
especially
yeah.
at that time, I reckon that Gotch SEO, like I said, I started following your blog was probably 2015 or maybe 2016, but you were a
Yeah.
pretty seasoned SEO at that time. because Gotch
Yeah.
SEO was really publishing a good amount of content.
Yeah.
So was it really you? Was it you were using some kind of like a ghostwriter for it? Or what was really
No,
happening?
I was actually writing it. Yeah. I was actually writing all that content. So it would take me, it's funny because just as things change, like I need to allocate my time and resources towards the things that are most effective. And like right now, what's most effective is YouTube. Right. And so like blogging isn't as popular as it once was, and people don't read as many blog posts. There's a time and place for it, but at that time, blog posts were the thing. Like you would write these, I would write these really long, extensive blog posts. And they would take me, man, sometimes 30 hours just to like do them. So I still have blog posts from that time that I still haven't updated because I'm like, I can't even fathom going through and having to update this. Like I couldn't spend 30 hours updating this thing. So yeah, so it's just a different strategy back then. But yeah, I wrote everything. I really did.
I
So
agree because writing that kind of a blog post wasn't that easy, to be honest. It's not something you can sit it down and you can write it out a whole 3,000 words of, because there was a lot of research, a lot of screenshots and that kind of things was
yeah.
involved. I guess there was a lot of testing going on in the back end as well at that time when you were getting more involved into your blog, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, I was doing client work like all during that time. So basically I'd be seeing things through
exactly.
experience and then I would just share them on the blog. And
Yep.
but believe it or not, like a lot of my leads and a lot of my clients came from not really my blog, but they came from me ranking for like St. Louis SEO company and things
Yep.
like that.
Oh yeah.
That actually was the biggest kind of driving force behind the initial traction that I got. So ironically, I used SEO to grow the business. So yeah.
I agree with that. So just going, I mean, like, how did that transition from being a solo SEO consultant to building a successful agency? And later, now you are running Gotch Academy, which is like teaching SEO agencies to how to scale this up. So was that what kind of like a key challenges and the lessons were actually involved into all this? Was it really easy?
Yeah.
Because the reason I'm asking is that because you were already running a very successful client SEO business. At the same time, I don't know if you're still running that, but you had all your focus going on into the Gotch Academy. So
Yes.
what was challenge involved into that time?
Yeah. So from 2013 actually up until 2018, sorry, 2013 to 2016, I was just agency, only did client work. 2016, I launched the first version of the academy.
Okay.
So basically from 2016 to 2018, I was working on two things, the agency and academy. And funny enough, is during that period is when I got extremely burned out from doing client work. And the reason why that happened is because the way that I had set up the business was not conducive to long-term success.
Mm.
And so, when you're starting a business in a situation like mine, when it was really like I needed to make money right
Yep.
now, not like I can wait, you will bring on anyone who wants to work with you essentially. And obviously, I didn't work with everyone, but I mean, it was pretty open. Like I'd work with pretty much any business that wanted to pay me essentially.
Yep.
And that worked up to a certain revenue level. And then I felt I started to bust at the seams, right? The holes in the boat were revealed because I was working on over 30 campaigns at one time, and they were all in different industries. So working on a plumber, and then working on a SaaS company, and then working on an e-commerce campaign. And it's like, the task switching and strategy switching across those different campaigns is really difficult.
It is.
And yeah, it's very challenging. And so what happened for me is I was like, I just got totally burned out. And basically I was like, you know what? I have this academy thing where like, I really enjoy doing this. Like I enjoy doing the academy. I love teaching. Like I really do love teaching. It's something I enjoy doing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in on this.
Yep.
So that's what I did at the end of 2018. And I know most people think I'm crazy for this. You should have sold your agency. You should have done this. And I'm like, it's not that simple because I can't just sell Gotch SEO. Like I can't, my name's on it. It's a weird thing.
Exactly.
So instead of doing that, I basically called up all my clients. And by the way, what I'm saying here, I don't recommend. This is just what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. I called up all my clients and I said, I'm at the end of the 2018, I'm done. I'm done taking on clients. I'm done doing client work. Like that's it for me. And my clients were shocked, right? Like they're like, what do you mean? You're just not going to you're going to stop your bit. Like they just thought it was stupid. And so, but I did that. And so from 2018 until 2020, I took this time just to focus. And it wasn't just the academy. What I really wanted to do was I needed to give myself the space to build systems. And that was really what I wanted to do. And I really wanted to give myself, like, I'm going to give myself this time. I'm going to take a big hit on revenue. Like it's going to hurt, right? I was willing to take the pain for a little bit. And, but it paid off, right? Because I spent the next 2 years just building systems. And then in 2020, I started just bringing on a few clients again. And it was so different this time because this time I was like systemized and just a totally different scenario altogether. Now, of course, the academy grew as well. So now, my business is very different, but that was kind of how it all kind of unfolded. But I'll tell you, like, out of all of that, the biggest mistake that I made, like hands down, the biggest mistake, and this is something I shout from the rooftops in all my coaching calls to all my members of the academy, to anyone who wants to talk about agency, please, for the love, just niche down. Like you have to niche down. And like I cannot express how important that truly is. It is so, so important. And I just know this because I went through the suffering of not niching down.
Yes.
So
that exactly I was going to ask you, like, if you have to, let's say, have to start client SEO again, if you ever plan to, or you have to tell the people to whom you are teaching a niche-based agency or a journal-based agency, which one do you prefer now? And I guess you already tell about that. So
a hands down niche agency, not even close.
Why is that the reason that you get to know about entire industry? How does that work? What are kind of keywords they are running? What kind of ads are going on? Or is there any particular reason for that, which you reckon that it is a lot more easy to scale to the next level having a niche agency? Because it is, to be very honest, it is very hard. You need to put a big hand on a chest to say no to the client. The client is coming in.
Of course.
Right? You have to say no. But
yes.
Yeah.
No. Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one is when you niche down, you're able to actually speak to your market a lot easier.
Yes.
So if you're just like the SEO company, then who are you really talking to, right? Like, okay, we get SEO results, but okay, for who, right? So like when I think about like, if I'm going to write a marketing message, I'm going to write some copy, if I can say, here's how we grew organic search traffic for this plumber, right? That's a lot different than here's how we grew this organic search traffic, right? So if I can specifically call out a particular market that I want to go after, everything gets easier in your marketing. And not only that, we know that not just Google, but all the platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, you name it, are all highly driven by relevance. And so what you can do if you niche down is you can really build out highly relevant profiles on all these platforms, and all of your content is built around that one ICP, that ideal client profile. And so every time I create something about on-page SEO for plumbers, that content's going to get pushed out to the appropriate people that are interested in that content, right? Now, if I just do, here's how to do on-page SEO, that's a wide net, right? I don't really know who that's for. Is that people who want training? Is that people who want services? Is that people who are working in-house? Is that people who are just new to SEO? Like, I don't know, right? I don't know. So on the marketing side, it's huge because you can actually build it. And by the way, the reason why people don't do it, like this is one of the biggest reasons why people don't like niching down, okay? Because you don't get as many views. You don't get as many views when you create a video that's specifically for on-page SEO for plumbers. Right? Like, you're not going to get thousands, and you're not going to get 1 million views or 100,000 views. Just not going to happen.
Yes.
But the views that you get are going to be incredibly high value. Incredibly high value. So even if you get 100 views, but you got 3 clients out of it, I think that's a win. Right. So for me, that's a big piece of it, is the marketing side, because then you can build your site around it, you can build your profiles around it, and all your content is built on that.
That's a very,
so that's that.
No, that's a very valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's
Yeah.
go.
So that's kind of like, yeah, that's the part. That's the first part. And then there's a couple other pieces to that as well as to why, if you want to get into that, but if you want to ask some clarifications on that.
Yes. So just go a little more deeper on the Gotch SEO Academy. I'm like, without getting too much, because I know that's your trade secret. So I'm not going to touch that one without going too much deeper into it. What do you think? What are the most common mistakes that people are doing when they are coming to you as a newcomer? So let's say someone is going and joining the SEO Academy, or I ask the question in a different way. Why do a SEO agency who is already doing good, why do they need to come to join the Coach SEO Academy?
Good question. Yeah. So it depends on the level that the person is at, because depending on where they're at, that's a different set of problems that they're
Yeah.
dealing with. Right. So let's kind of walk through the different revenue levels, and I'll tell you the different problems that people have at each revenue level. Okay. So let's start at zero. So at $0, you don't have a single client. The only thing you should be concerned about is getting cash. That's it. Like,
That's
don't worry. Don't even worry about niching down at that point. Just start getting some cash flow, go on Upwork, apply to every single job that you see, set a cadence for every single day. I'm going to apply to 3 jobs every single day on Upwork. I'm going to go on Fiverr. I'm going to create microservices to start getting some leads in the door, even though they're, lower ticket. Like, I'm going to just everything, bring it all in, because in the beginning, it's a cash flow game, and you need to get some stability before you can start to really build a business, right? The reason why I say that is because there's a certain limit where now you want to start to build a real business. See, what I did is I basically just did that, but I scaled that up, and that's not a good idea, right? I should have niched down earlier. So what I recommend doing is from like 0 to 10,000. That's basically all you should do, is just try to get as many clients as you can, get as much experience as you can, start to build your portfolio. But most importantly, the third piece of that is start to see who you like to work with, right? Like, what are the types of industries that you feel you gravitate towards a little bit more? Maybe you like working with SaaS companies. Maybe you like the way that setup is. Maybe you like working with, home services, right? So start to see who you like to work with and who you don't like to work with, right? That's very important. There's certain groups of people you just aren't going to vibe with, right? So that's kind of like in that 0 to 10,000. That's basically what the focus should be.
Hmm.
Then from 10,000 on is when you should start to think about niching down, right? And starting to build out some sort of, and the way I like to describe it is like, you have your let's call it your mother agency. Okay. So think like Neil Patel Digital. Okay. So his big, huge agency is what would be considered a mother agency, or even like Ogilvy or any of these huge agencies. But as a subcategory, you have your kind of siloed out little dedicated sites that are specific to one industry. So you might have, bestplumberseo.com, right?
Hmm.
Something
Hmm.
very, very specific. And the reason for that is because, of course, you have the intent to rank in Google, right? So you want to rank for everything related to SEO and that target market.
Yes.
So that's very important. Obviously, my mind goes to SEO first. So you start there, then you build out, I believe you build out a YouTube channel. So
Hmm.
then you build out a YouTube channel, Plumber SEO, right? So now every YouTube video that you put out, YouTube is going to say, oh, Plumber SEO, drive that out to plumbers or people that are interested in that, right? So then you get that relevance. And then you also build upon LinkedIn and X. You keep adding channels as you go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that you approach it. But I'll tell you if you get niching down squared away, then there's other challenges that come into play. And from 10,000 to about $30,000 per month is what I personally call the death zone. Okay. And the reason is not because the businesses are going to go out of business, right? It's not that the agency is going to crumble, but actually what happens is in that range, you get very comfortable.
Yes.
And because the thing is, like, I think for most people, like, if you're making, because at $10,000 a month, you're making well over 6 figures, right? You're
Yeah.
doing really well. You start getting up higher. Now you're up 250,000. Now you're getting into some really good area. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, right? And like, even for me, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. So when I started to make that much money, I was like, almost like imposter syndrome starts to set in a little bit. You're like,
Mm.
wait, should I be making this much money? Like, this is a little weird. And then what will happen is in that range, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people that I talk to in that range, is it becomes difficult to get out of that range because you don't have the skills to get out of it.
It's
And what will happen is self-justification for your situation. So
yes.
you'll say, you know what? This is good. Like I'm making good money, or I like being here. Like, oh, I like my lifestyle. I like the work-life balance. You start
Mindset.
to come up with these
Yes.
justifications as to why you want to stay in the same position. But deep down inside, you don't want to stay there, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to stay there. And so the only reason why we choose to stay at a certain revenue level is because we don't know how to get out of it. That's just my opinion,
No, no,
right?
that's exactly right.
So
That's every single thing you're saying that actually makes sense. I know like the same situation I faced on myself as well for years before I really got to know like, hey, I need to go and take some kind of like a mindset coaching and that kind of things because it's kind of a plateau. You need to break that
yep,
plateau to get to the next level, and that's where the mentorship comes into play, I guess, where you need to follow some
exactly.
proven systems and the things and the case studies kind of approach. So yeah, it is actually important in that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also the thing is when you've plateaued, you've done everything you can to get to that level. So if you keep doing everything that you've already done, yeah, maybe you could grow a little bit, but more than likely you're going to stay pretty much at that plateau
Yeah.
because you haven't introduced anything new. And usually the thing that breaks out of a plateau, and of course, we're all hitting new plateaus, right? Like I'm at a current plateau in my business, but I'm
Yeah.
at a new plateau and it's a
Yes.
new set of challenges. But like at every plateau, it's usually you have to do something you don't want to do almost every time. There's something that you're not doing that you know you should do that will make the big difference. So, like a small example, you can run an agency up to about 30 grand a month, probably by yourself. You could be one guy with a bunch of contractors, a bunch of vendors, and you could probably do it. You'll be working a lot, but you
Yes.
could do it, right?
Yep.
But you know, to get to the next level, what has to happen is you have to decrease your profit and you have to bring someone on who can help you, right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill for people to chew on because they start to live like, I think the biggest most toxic thinking is focused on percentage profit.
Yes.
That kills a lot of people
Yep.
because I need to get 70% profit margin, right? You say that, right? But really, in reality, what truly matters is the net amount of dollars that you're
Mm.
getting, right? So, like, yes, you could get 70% margin at $30,000 a month, or you could get 40% margin at
And
$200,000 a month.
yes. Yeah.
And it's just a simple, like, I'm not a big math guy, but I
Yeah.
understand that,
Simple
right?
mathematics. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I did for me to break out of a couple of my plateaus, just so you know, is I just brought people on to help me. That's it.
Yeah.
So
So what do you
yeah,
think the people they don't really go and understand this thing and they will still be stick with their same that 70% of the margins in their 30,000 kind of a bracket? Don't you really go into and think like, hey, maybe I need some kind of like a growth hacker or maybe a mentor up here who gonna take me to the next level, holding my hand, tell me the right things and telling me where I'm going wrong? Because a lot of people don't really do that. They just keep on running
no.
the this is the way it is, and that's a very bitter truth of the industry is.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like if you're at a plateau, if you knew how to break out of the plateau, you would have.
Yes.
So you're missing some sort of
Um.
knowledge that's preventing you from going to the next level. And sometimes it's kind of we're humans are weird, right? Like we sometimes know what we need to do, but we just don't do it. And sometimes what it takes is to have someone who's ahead of you tell you that that's what you need to do. And you're like, okay, now I need to do it. Right.
Yes.
And that happens a lot. Like sometimes, sometimes I feel like I'm like a psychiatrist, right? When I talk to agencies, I'm like, you know what you need to do, right? Like you need to do these things. Like, yeah, I know I need to do that. And I'm like, okay, so let's do it. Like, let's go
Yep.
ahead and do this. So like a small thing, I'll tell you, this is like one of the biggest levers I found in business. The simplest, easiest thing you can do in any business is when you have a lot of demand for what you're doing but you have low supply, which is your time, right? You increase prices because it's a supply and demand curve. So if you have a lot of people who want your services, but you have no time, therefore you should increase prices, because that's going to help, first of all, generate more revenue, which then allows you to bring more people on to help you. But of course, funny enough, is price is perception. So the higher your prices are, the more people believe that what you do is good. And this has been proven through so many studies over and over, that people will just take a price and create this narrative of quality, even if there's no objective metric, right? It's just, and humans aren't objective. So the point is, price is big. So there's just so many different levers that you can pull. And you need someone who's ahead of you, who can look at, because they've already been there, right? They've already been in that spot. So they'll see what you're doing. They'll say, I know exactly how to fix this because I've already fixed this.
Yes.
So, but people, it's hard, because the reason why, at least what I found, and speaking from experience as well, like areas where I have procrastinated to not get help, is because your ego gets in the way, right? And when you're
why do you need someone else to tell me where I'm wrong?
Yes,
Is that what
exactly. Exactly. So you need humility to be willing to reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm stuck. I need help.
Yes.
That takes a lot. It took me a very long time to do that. My business was stagnant for a long time because my ego was so huge that I couldn't even fathom the fact that I was going to reach out to someone and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me?
Yes.
Right. But when you can do that, your life, I believe, can truly change, because once you finally just say, you know what, I don't know everything, and I'm going to go and find someone who's already done what I needed to do, and I'm going to just get their help. Every time I've done that, I've never been disappointed.
Yep.
Never. Not once. So, and obviously, coming from me, who obviously has a coaching and training program, of course I'm going to say this, but I'm even talking about in my own personal experience. Like, I can give you an anecdotal example. Like, for a long time, I was extremely stubborn about Facebook ads. Okay. I would just keep running ads and keep burning money, and I could not generate a return on investment for Facebook ads. And then one day I got so fed up. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to find the best Facebook ads person, and I'm just going to go and learn from them. So I found this guy. His name's Maxwell Finn.
Yep.
And one of the best Facebook ads guys. I think he does other ads now, but at that time, what he was doing. I bought his training, and I just went all in. And I'm not kidding. Within 2 weeks, I already had a profitable campaign. So I spent 4 years being stubborn. And then I went and put my ego aside and made the investment to learn. And within 2 weeks, I already got to where I needed to go. So that taught me a very important lesson. So yeah.
But again, Nathan, I mean, like, you did the course, you did you applied those skills all by yourself as well to see the results.
Yeah.
The only thing up here could be the easy way is to actually get to the expert to run the ads and everything for us and get us the desired results. I mean, like, for the agency, do you really think it is a good idea to learn all the skill sets by themselves and then save the money and doing it all by themselves? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, good question. So I think it depends on the situation. I think for most businesses, it's probably wise just to hire the experts to do it for you, right? But because of my skill set, I am a marketer, so it's easy for me to add secondary skills like Facebook ads and CRO and these other things. If you're running a home services business and you're doing plumbing, like, are you really going to have the capacity to go and learn Facebook ads and execute on Facebook ads and test Facebook? Like, it's just not feasible. So in that scenario, absolutely an agency. And this is why the agency world exists, right? Because there is a serious need for companies to do this work for small businesses, right? So there's definitely I think if you are the agency, you should learn those skills. Absolutely. But if you're a business owner, it's hard for me to recommend a business owner to go and do this themselves. It's just way too hard. So
how's GIC Academy? Because it's like for 8 years altogether. The Gotch Academy is doing that. So what is the kind of a case studies and everything you are getting right now? The client testimonials, is that really helping them to scale it to the next level where they
Yeah.
really think of? And if someone among them, you reckon that who hasn't scaled or didn't meet the goals, which the desired goals, what was the reason behind that was? Was it like they didn't take a necessary action we were telling them, and they were all in their own mindset? Because sometimes it happens, like let's say you're telling them, hey, these are the steps you need to take it. You need to create a VSL, you need to create the funnels, or could be run the ads and that kind of thing. Now they're stuck. They don't know from where they need to start. They think like, hey, I'm already too busy, and now I need to get into and start creating this marketing materials and everything for us. So they
Right.
procrastinate the entire thing. You know what I mean? This is a
Yeah.
very common thing I've seen among the SEO agencies. When we go and tell them, hey, I need this from you to take it. And they say, oh, I don't have a time. Or I'm going to do it in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And this thing never happens. So how to handle
Yeah.
these kind of situations, do you reckon? They want
Yeah.
to,
Well, I mean,
but don't have time to create the necessary marketing materials and everything to get it over there.
yeah. I mean, whenever I hear someone doesn't have the time to do something, I always laugh, right? Because you have to make time. You have to make time. And you have to literally create the time. And the only way to create the time is you have to use leverage. And to do that is if you don't have time to do anything, like for example, I just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with agency owners. Okay. And we were talking about this exact thing. Like, okay, how do I market my business when I'm doing all this work on client campaigns, right? How do I go and get new leads in and all this stuff? And I said, well, first of all, you always selfishly have to put your business first, right? And this is one of the mistakes that a lot of agencies make. And it makes perfect sense, right? It makes logical sense that they're focused on retention, right? I need to do whatever it takes to retain these clients. That's smart because there's data proving that it's 6 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a client than it is to keep an existing one. The
Yes.
data proves this. But the problem is they take it too far. And then 100% of what they do on a weekly basis is just fulfillment. That's all they do, right? And you cannot grow a business on fulfillment. You just can't. Like you do a good job on fulfillment. Yes, you'll get referrals. Yes, you'll get word of mouth. That all happens. But you're playing a very dangerous game, right?
Yes.
Because if there's one recession or a bunch of clients cancel,
You're
you're
down.
left with nothing. You're left with nothing. So you have to build out these marketing channels and these ways to generate leads. And the way to do that is you need to make time for it. And when I talk to agency owners, even some business owners, honestly, the first thing I ask them is not technical stuff. We don't get into the nitty gritty. I just ask them, what does your day look like? Like,
Yes.
just tell me, like, just tell me, starting from when you wake up, what happens, right? And I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, the story that I hear is, well, I get up and then I check email and then I start answering client,
Technical.
queries. And then I start doing client work. And I'm like, okay, so when are you growing your business though? Like
Yes.
at what point are you doing that? Right. And of course, they don't have an answer because they're not doing the work. And so it's not complicated. It's just a matter of shifting priorities. And
Mm.
so what I recommend people do is like whenever your best time for work is when you should do your deep work, which is what are those quadrant 2 activities, which is from the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is important but not urgent, right?
Mm.
So an example of that is me creating a YouTube video. I know it's incredibly important for my
Awesome.
business,
Yes.
but I don't have to do it, right? Like nothing's gonna happen today if I don't publish a YouTube video, right? Nothing,
Mm.
right? But that's the stuff that grows the business, right? Or the important but not urgent.
That is the kind
So
of things which majority of the people procrastinate. And the procrastinate not in the days or so, it procrastinate get up to the months actually. You
yes,
think of like, okay, I need to go and create the marketing videos for my own business. And you say, okay, this is more important. I'm probably gonna do that thing tomorrow, a day after tomorrow. And you notice, oh, I decided the same thing last year, and the same thing has
right.
happened now. So Yeah, I can understand. I can understand what you're saying. It makes sense,
Yeah.
but in practical world, what I've seen, the people that lack this kind of thing, they don't really know what to prioritize it properly. So yes,
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, everyone works differently. So like I'm a morning person, right? Like, so
yes,
I do my best work like right out of the gate in the morning. I'm on it. There's other people like my partner,
yes,
Simon, he's much more of a night owl. Like if I checked on Slack at 1 in the morning, he's like doing work,
there.
right? Like, and I'm like dead asleep. So totally different, different strategies. Both there's not one is not better than the other, right? What matters is identifying your sweet spot for doing the deep work. So if it's in the morning, do it in the morning. If it's at night, do it at night, but just create time for it. So what I do when I'm trying to get people to build this into their daily workflow is use the Pomodoro technique because it's the simplest and easiest way to get some initial traction. So I'll say, don't worry about like, because like for me, I do usually about 4 hours of what I call quadrant two activities per day. So
Mm,
that's YouTube videos, doing interviews, things like that. I do about 4 hours a day of that essentially. That's usually my target. I don't always hit it, but that's usually what I do. So what I tell people to do is like, okay, if you can just do one Pomodoro, which is 25 minutes, just 25 minutes per day for 30 days on an activity that actually grows the business,
yes.
it will change your business, right? Just that, just one, with the intent long term to get to at least 4 Pomodoros. To get to four, that's 2 hours of work.
2 hours
Just
of
two hours of work a day for growing the business. And then you can do all the fulfillment that you want to do, right?
mm,
But
mm,
really, at the end of the day, if you really want to grow an agency or grow a business, like the CEO, the main person of the business, should not be doing fulfillment,
no,
like at all,
true.
right? At all. So, and the only way to get to that point, obviously, you need systems,
System.
you need people, and there's ways to do that. But those are just a few things that I see. And yeah, we can. There's I know there's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, that we'll just start
Yeah.
with there. So
All right. So just quickly, I mean, like Gotch Academy, and then we'll come to a bit about the AI before we close the call. So,
yeah,
what kind of modules do you have in the Gotch SEO Academy? Because I'm really excited to know about it. And that let's say there is an agency owner who is coming to you. Of course, you're onboarding them for it.
yeah.
So, how the things get started for the next quarter?
Right. So, like I mentioned before, it is largely dependent on their current situation. So, if they're, let's say, if they're sub $30,000 a month, we would have them go through the agency accelerator. And the reason for that is because it's just basically going to show end to end, like the process that works for picking a niche, creating proposals, closing deals. Like, funny enough, I've actually recorded a lot of my proposal calls and they're inside the training. So you can actually see me like close a deal live.
Right.
So like in real life scenarios, even like discovery calls, I've recorded my discovery calls so people can see like how I go through a discovery call. Funny
Yeah.
enough is when people see my process,
Yeah.
sometimes people are looking for more, right? They're like, well, this can't be it. You can't just do this every single time. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
this is what I do every single time. So if you were to listen to all my discovery calls for agency, it's the same questions over and over. And the reason why is because I use a script. I use a script, the same script every time. Now, do I have to use a script? Of course not. I know the questions, but it doesn't matter because that's how you start to streamline this process. And so that's kind of the first part is like the agency accelerator, which is just basically get everything off the ground, start getting some clients and all that good stuff. The SEO expert certification is my newest program that I spent the last year and a half basically rebuilding the whole system from scratch because of AI. So as soon as ChatGPT came, I was like, oh man, I have to redo everything. Like I just immediately, I was like, I
Yeah.
have to redo
The
all
whole
of this.
SPs has
The
changed.
whole thing, every SOP, every part of the system had to be reworked and refined.
Yep.
And that's because now a lot of this, so like in my previous version, there was a lot of automation and a lot of things that were helpful, but there was also a lot of manual work because there was really nothing that could solve some of the issues. But
Yep.
now with AI, I was able to automate a lot of those things that were a lot more time consuming. So with this new process, it's just it's like going from an iPhone 1 to an
Yep.
iPhone 14, right? It's just a huge monumental jump.
Yep.
And that's because of artificial intelligence. And we can talk about kind of like the little bits and pieces in there. But I'll tell you, like, we've got some big agencies
Mm,
that train their entire team on these
that's right.
systems.
That's right.
Because I've literally built them for agencies. So, and it's not to say like a business owner could benefit from them. Like, of course they could, but it's really designed for like, this is how you do SEO in a very systematic way that's very repeatable and that can scale across 20, 30, 40,
Yep.
100 campaigns. Right.
Yep.
So,
But that
yeah.
that again, that's all about SEO. It doesn't include those PPCs, it doesn't include the
No.
so you still stick with the SEO, and all your
Yes.
trainings and everything is basically to close the SEO clients.
Correct. Yeah. So the Accelerator is more about the business side, closing deals and all that. And then the SEO expert certification is purely SEO fulfillment. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. And you got Rankability as well. That's AI software. And I was checking it the other day. That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive stuff you have done. So yeah,
Yeah.
it does a
Yeah.
lot of
And
work with that.
yeah. And I'll tell you before we jump into that, like one thing to mention, I know you asked about people like doing the work,
Yep.
right? So like you can give them the stuff, but them actually doing the work. And so one thing that we did in the academy that has kind of, I don't want to say solved this, right? But it has significantly improved it is I added these coaching calls. So when someone does hit that roadblock or they hit something, they can actually come Tuesday and Thursday and literally ask me any question that they
Okay.
want.
Yep.
And so my old program, I didn't have this, and I'm telling you the difference just for anyone that has their own training program. It's monumental as far as results, as far as
Yeah.
stickiness, people going through the training, like, and it makes sense. Like if you
Yep.
have someone that you can ask questions, you never feel like you're alone or you're on an island on yourself to figure it all out. Like that's really what a good teacher is for, right? And that's what it's all about.
And
So yeah, and then of course, yeah.
is it a recurring or is it a one-time program fees or something for that one?
Uh, uh, so we do it's all in one tuition for everything.
Okay.
So yeah, so
So that
everyone gets the coaching calls. Yeah.
that's recurring. So
Wait, sorry, what was the question?
it's a per month kind of a thing, fee, subscription.
No, it's a tuition. So it's a set amount, and then once that's paid off, it's lifetime access. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but going back to what you said, like my partner always says a good quote, and he says, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so you can give people everything. We give them the training, the systems, the SOPs, the community, the coaching. Like we literally give them everything they could possibly have to be successful. Um, but at the end of the day, they have to do the work.
They have to do the work.
And I can't, go to their house and put my fingers on their keyboard and do it for them, right? Like
Right.
I
They have to
can't
put
do
the
that.
effort to
They
do
still
that.
have to do it. So that's only a very small percentage of people, but of course there are people that do that. And I get it. It's not easy. Like it's not easy doing this, but if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, yeah, that's kind of the high level
Yeah.
overview of it.
Yeah, no. So I was asking about the rankability, like the
Yeah.
AI tools, they're pretty much everywhere, like AI tools. So where do you guess the
Yes.
rankability is different in that case? Is that something can produce a good
Yes.
kind of a content briefs, or what is that?
Yeah, so I had been using a lot of content optimization tools for a long time.
Mm,
And many of them are great. A lot of them are great. Nothing against them, right? But um, I just found flaws
yeah,
in a lot of these tools because I was actually doing SEO. So it's not like I was just like, a passive SEO person trying to get some quick results with one of these tools. Like I was trying to integrate it into systems. I'm training people on how to use the tools. And one of the things that I found with some of the other tools is there's a focus on keyword density
yes,
and trying to inject keywords based on a certain quantity that everyone else has.
yeah,
And that always kind of didn't fit well with my strategy because
right,
I feel that that doesn't work. In fact, I have data proving that and I'm not going to name other tools, but let's
Yeah,
just say we used another tool.
I know
We
which
used
one.
another tool
Yeah.
and we followed their recommendations. We did hundreds and hundreds of articles for clients, and the performance was very mixed, very mixed. Some were good, some were not, but we'd follow the recommendations to a T. So then what I did is I went through and said, you know what? How about this? Let's not care about how many times I mentioned blue shoes in the content, right? Let's
Yeah.
just not care about that. And let's just care about hitting the topic and fully building a very highly relevant asset that hits on all the core topics without caring about how many times you mention the keywords, right?
Mhm.
So we did that. We revised our strategy and the performance was significantly better,
Okay.
significantly.
Yeah.
So through that process, I was like, you know what? I think we should build something. Why don't we? I feel we could do this. Like we have the utility. So that's what my partner and me were like. You know what? Let's do this. Let's build this thing for basically ourselves, essentially. Um, but that's what we did. And so the difference with our tool is the way is the philosophy behind what we do, right? It's
Yes.
very different. And on top of it, the keyword, the actual like technical part of it is like how many keywords we get and the quality of those keywords. I believe, I'm very biased, but I believe is better than our competitors, because we're doing, and I'm not even afraid to hide this, but like we use IBM Watson and Google NLU. And we bring those in and we synthesize all those NLP keywords from the top 30 results. And we only pick the ones that we believe are the closest match to whatever that core keyword is.
Branded.
So there's a lot of kind of stuff happening in the background that makes a huge difference. And I document, I show people inside the
Right.
Rankability Mastermind calls every Wednesday, but I document all of the results that I get with Rankability. And I have like a 97% ranking
With
success rate with
with
Rankability.
human touch to that one, or is that not really?
Both. So
Do
some will be AI, some will be human.
you
Yeah.
believe like as a mind behind rankability, you still believe like once the AI tool is going to create an article, we still need to give a kind of a humanize that article. It is really important before we go and publish that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I so the way that I try to teach this is that whatever draft you create with the AI is exactly that. It's
Yeah.
just a draft, right? It's your first draft and you're going to rework that and you're going to make it better. Like I'll just give you perspective. Like I actually show I have a free training on the Rankability YouTube channel of me going through and like I actually create a piece of
Check
content
it
from
out.
scratch. Like you watch me create it. And you'll see when I create something, when I actually write it myself, there's draft number one, and then draft two, and then draft three, sometimes 4 or 5 drafts of the same piece of content before finally it's done. Right. And to me, it's like people, they just get lazy. And so they just publish it and slap it on the site.
Yeah,
And, you know, you can't expect good results if you do that. And
exactly.
even if you do get results, you can't expect it to stick. Right.
Yeah. No,
So,
I
yeah,
completely agree because I guess this is where most of the people are getting wrong. They just want a publish and push button kind of a thing. And they
of
believe
course.
like, hey, just go and spend like maybe an hour or so and publish like hundreds of articles within a week. And that's where most of thing goes wrong. Otherwise, Google was
Yep.
never going to be that nasty, which happened in this March update where
Yeah.
people just rolled out a lot of articles and they to save their crawl budgets or something. Maybe I reckon that they de-index most of the things which they feel is not really adding any kind of a value. So
Yep.
I believe so. Just the
Yep.
very final two questions, Nathan. I know you're
Sure.
busy with things too. The very first one, let's keep it stick to the agency thing, and the second one is SEO because we all still have a love with SEO. Let's talk about the SEO first. Location pages, because I guess this is what most of the people they think of. So because you're working with a lot of content briefs and that kind of thing too, what are those key elements which should be added to the location pages to get a good sustainable results?
Good question. Yeah, it's I seem to get this question almost on a weekly basis as
Oh
far
yeah.
as commercial pages, and in the context more of like localized commercial pages seems to be the most common. So let's say a St. Louis personal injury lawyer, right? And we want to create a dedicated page for medical malpractice attorney in St. Louis, right? So that would be a commercial page. And the truth is, a lot of people do this incorrectly because what they will do is they think about like, okay, how do we create as much content on this page as possible, right? And very rarely is that the solution. And not to talk about rankability again, but one of the things that we did because to solve this particular problem, because some of the other tools, what they will do is they'll grab an average word count from the top 10. And what happens is if you have someone in the top 10 who has 8,000 words on their page, that average is going to get lifted up dramatically. And you're just going to say, oh yeah, you should write a 3,000 word article on this thing.
That's
And
most of the tools are doing. That's
yes. And so
Surfer SEO, Pop, they all do the same thing. They say, okay,
yes,
this is what content you should be having on the page.
correct. And we don't agree with that because the thing is, the kind of difference here is we don't take average, we take the median. So what we do is we eliminate the bottom 10% and the top 10% of word counts to get the true middle of the word count. And what you'll find the local level, like I just ran a search just yesterday on a local query, and our like optimal word count was like 500 to 750 words. A very, very minimal word count because you don't need 3,000 words to rank for something that's so specific and so granular. And on top of it, what happens too is if you have Yelp ranking, they have these huge, huge pages with tons of content, like, and so what it inflates everything. So it's not a good metric to follow. So instead, what you want to do for a commercial page is focus on what the core objective of that page is, right? And the goal is not to educate on a commercial page. The goal of a commercial page is to drive conversions.
Yep.
And so every single element of that page should have a conversion objective. And what I see a lot, and this is usually when I have to fix a lot of pages, like in the personal injury space, for example, it'll be like St. Louis personal injury lawyer, and they'll have a block on that page about the history of personal injury. And I'm like, no, like, don't do that. Like, don't.
Personal injury lawyer and
Yeah. A bunch of junk, just a bunch of junk on the page that the user doesn't care about. Like, you think about someone who's searching that, they maybe just got in a car accident, right? And they're just like, you know what? I need to get a good settlement from this. So like, why should I work with this attorney versus this other one? So all of the content should align with the intent of that person, which is, I'm the best attorney to help you. Here's why. Here's the testimonials. Here's the stories. Here's how we work. Here's our process. Like, you're hitting on the things that actually are more bottom of the funnel, right? And so it's just a slight shift. It makes a huge difference. Like, we just need to eradicate the word count like mentality for commercial pages and just purely think about, how do we build a page that converts? The end. And that's it. So, yeah.
And the very final question for the day, sir. It's like most of the businesses, their pain point is getting leads. I come across so many people, and the very first thing is like, hey, how do we get new leads for our business? So let's take a hypothetical scenario. Some business is struggling to actually generate quality leads for them. What is the best way you reckon is it paid media, or is it like organic? And what is the best step-by-step process would be in a quick steps only?
Yeah. So I don't, I'm not very like, I don't pick and choose the types of channels. I'm not like pro paid or pro organic. Like, if it generates leads, we should do it, right? But funny enough, I love the lead generation conversation because once you identify who you want to go after, like, getting leads is actually really easy. And for example, let's say I wanted to go after HVAC businesses. Well, first I start there. Okay.
Niche down.
Yeah.
So now we are
niche down. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So start there. I'm going to pick HVAC. Well, I'm not going to stop there because that's the whole country, right?
Yep.
So what I'm doing, okay, no, I'm going to do HVAC businesses in Missouri, right? So I'm going to start there, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go one more level now. I'm only going to do HVAC businesses in St. Louis County, right? So now I'm really niched down. Like how many SEO companies focus on HVAC businesses in St. Louis County? I can tell you, 0.
Yeah.
So you think about you've already have a huge strategic position that no one else has. And that's where you begin. Now, from there, once you've identified that very defined ideal client profile, it's as easy as going to Fiverr, finding someone who's a lead extractor, give
Mm-hmm.
them your target audience, and they will find every single contact detail for every single decision maker in that specific market
True.
for 20, 30 bucks. And we're talking like it costs you nothing. So
Yep.
getting the leads is easy, right?
Mhm.
What's hard is how do we work those leads, right? How do we work those leads? How do we do that? But that's
Mhm.
where the fun is. That's you can use ChatGPT and say, okay, I've got this list of leads. What are some angles I could use to try to get
Yep.
in front of these decision makers, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of them, you get the LinkedIn profile, you get their email, you've got their phone number. I mean, that's 3 different touch points, 3 different channels where you can get in front of them right away, right?
Yep.
On top of it, you could even upload that list to Meta, and you could run a lookalike
Like
audience.
what?
And so there's so many things you can do, but the key is it all stems from that kind of target audience. So for me, I'm thinking about that as I start there. Then I start to think about, okay, how can we start getting in front of them today? Of course, outbound is going to be the smart way because you can start sending emails. Like right now, I could send 5,
Oh,
10, 20 emails.
yep.
Phone, I can call them right now, right? Like I don't have to wait
Oh, yeah.
because we know organic takes time.
Yeah.
So at the same time, though, you should be building up the organic base, starting
Yep.
to build that up, starting to create content. Pick one channel, just
Yes.
one channel. Focus on that channel until you feel like you've got a consistent cadence of publishing. And
Mm-hmm.
once you've got that consistent cadence, now layer on another channel.
Yep.
This is the mistake I see people make with organic. And trust me, I've created a lot of content over the years. I
Yeah.
know this. Um, the biggest mistake is to try to tackle every channel at the same time
Yep.
because every channel's got its own unique nuances, its own unique ways of doing things. So you're better off just pick one, make that your focus
Stick
for
with that.
a while.
Yep.
My criteria is like make it your focus until you can consistently publish there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go on YouTube, once you're able to publish one video a week or whatever the cadence you select, and you're doing it consistently, then you can say, you know what, I can do this now. Now let's add on TikTok or whatever you want to do, right? But one at a time. Don't try to spread yourself too thin; just become way too hard.
Yeah. Probably
So
going to be
yeah,
born up. No,
yep.
that was fabulous, Mike. I really appreciate all the time you have given, Nathan. It was really next level kind of stuff. And I was very much sure before the call, like this call gonna be an exciting one because I know you're kind of a big deal when it comes to these kind of talk, and especially before the call, I was trying to look at the at your LinkedIn profile, what Nathan is really doing these days, and even I tried to check those rankability and even the Gotch Academy as well. So now that's pretty good. So if anyone they really want to get in touch with you, I mean, like have any kind of concerns, they really want to know more about your programs, what is the best way for that? Is it your LinkedIn? Is that email or what is that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the academy, just go to gotchseo.com. And if you're interested in Rankability, we have a free trial, so you can give it a spin, but rankability.com. So, and the academy is pretty simple. You just submit an application, then we read it. If we think it's a good fit, we think we can help you. You'll jump on
Yep.
a call and then talk to
Yep.
one of my team members, and then get you on
Yeah.
board. So,
Mind to actually talk a bit about the starting pricing or that kind of things for Gotch Academy, or is that on a case-to-case basis?
the pricing changes based on whether you're going to do a payment plan or not, right? So
Okay.
if you do a payment plan, it extends it out, but our lowest payment plan is $497 a month.
Yep.
So that's the lowest. Yeah.
That includes, you reckon, everything. That includes all the
Everything.
coaching calls and that kind of things
Yep.
as well. Yeah. No,
Yep.
as
Exactly.
yeah, see, because as far as it gonna help someone to actually get a proper directional thing, I think it's still worth a lot to actually go and reach out to someone who has already gone through that kind of a path and knows like what the mistakes are, how to get out of that, like you said. So it
Right.
is
Yeah.
really
I mean, and you can see the reviews obviously on Google, and there's a lot
yeah,
of people who come in, some people started at zero, right?
yeah,
And they're now at some significant amount of revenue.
yeah,
So, and of course, it's not all me. They did it themselves, right?
yeah,
I didn't do it for them. I just gave them the
direction.
blueprint, and they executed. So they're the ones that
Yeah.
deserve all the praise. So yeah.
No, thanks for that, Nathan. I really appreciate that time. And all the knowledge which you have given today, man. That really means a lot. That's a complete course in itself, I guess.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, no, I thought like I'm gonna ask about this SEO, that SEO, but we got so much involved into the academy and the training and agency scaling kind of a topic in itself. So I thought like, no, I'm probably gonna take Nathan one more time in the future again, and then
Yeah, anytime.
this. So yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Nathan. Appreciate the
Thank you
time.
so much. Appreciate it.
And I'm gonna put all those video, the links and academy stuff, and even your LinkedIn as well in the video
Okay.
description. It goes live.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Bye.